Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I'm really excited to be back on track with our updates this week. So myself and each of our department leaders, we have some pretty big updates because we had some time off around the holidays and we're skipping those. So we are back on track and ready to get after it. So here's where we'll start today. I would be amiss if I started without saying that I know our schedule has been different recently, maybe even a little stressful, if we can use that word, having less doctors than we particularly prefer to function with, having different doctor schedules, having shifts that are a little awkward and different in some cases. But I have to say, we are making it happen. Everybody's had phenomenal attitudes, and the things that we've sacrificed have been, unfortunately, breaks and routine leaving on time. And I really appreciate that happening, but I also wanted you to know that I'm really inspired to get us back on track with that. Breaks are super important because it gives you the rest time, not only to physically rest, but to have the mental break that you need so that you can give the wow and that incredible patient care to all of our pets that need and deserve it from us. So I would encourage you to be creative with that and work maybe to rotate time off. We seem to have enough team members here. Instead of all of you trying to go and take your break at one time, you may consider rotating those, sending one person at a time for maybe not the longest break that we offer or that we ideally prefer, but for something, for time to nourish yourselves and take care of yourselves. I appreciate you guys doing without, but that's not appropriate and it's not sustainable long term, so we should figure out a way to make that happen. I'm open to anything. If you've been thinking of alternatives, let's chat so that we can get it happening for everybody. In the meantime, just know how much you're appreciated. In exciting news that will help to support that, we also have new team members joining us. We have 3 new team members joining us over the course of the next week. We're welcoming a pet care specialist, Paige Lormond, a grooming assistant, Erica Alexander, that's a assistant to the groomers and to work as a bather, and then also a customer care team member named Jenna Mouton. So welcome to the team. Those 3, you're gonna love it. We're so excited to have you. Another important kind of housekeeping thing to share is I know Alex has worked hard on publishing that everywhere. We are having a mandatory safety meeting on January 30th. We're having 2 sessions of it, noon and 6 p.m., and we will have meals provided for those as well. Mandatory means everybody's got to do it. So work with your scheduler to determine which session is most appropriate for you to go to. We will have block offs in the middle of the day for those people who work. And we're going to try and get everybody into those meetings. So go ahead and start planning for that now. That is on January 30th. Again, meetings at noon and 6 p.m. to make that happen. One thing that I wanted to address that some may know or may not know is that we were aiming on December 31st to have our transaction go through where we would have our new partners come in and have those quote-unquote changes that we anticipated, although minimal, mostly payroll related to you, to have those things come together. But some legal things just didn't pan out the way that we wanted with the holiday being right there. So we had a slight delay in making that happen, and that's affected payroll. However, not in a negative way. So although I don't have every single detail that you might want to share right now, please know that's because I didn't want to have given information again that wasn't exactly accurate. So I'm kind of playing it day to day right now, figuring out how to make that work. But we will not exceed a 2-week time period without paying you again. So we closed our payroll on December 31st. So again, by the 14th, we will have a payroll to issue you again. If not sooner than then. So we won't have anybody out. If you are having trouble making that work for yourself, or you're worried about something, please come talk to me directly because there's always something that we can do. I'm a big believer that anytime there's a problem, there are a lot of times multiple solutions. So we'll come up with something for you. Know that my absolute priority is making sure that everything is taken care of for you. I think that's every manager on our team's priority right now, is making sure that we don't miss a beat that affects you in any kind of way. So again, if you have questions about that, come find me. I might not have all the answers, but I can find an answer to your problem. I promise that. The next thing that I wanted to share in exciting news is that Lily has stepped forward to be our lead dog trainer. She's going to be our only dog trainer for a while. She's kind of revamping our training program, which had fizzled for a while there. It was definitely existent, but not as exuberant as we wanted it to. So we are in the stages right now of having her look at things, refresh. We're having a lot of new content that we're going to be able to put out on our website and our social media. And I think she's going to bring a lot of energy to that department, so to speak, to that service that we offer. That'll be great for all of us. And certainly give the right information that you can pass forward on to our clients. So stay tuned for that. Just know that Lily's our point person for that right now. Another important thing is, I know that it's been a little awkward over the past couple months with who to bring broken things to. If you have something that you need repaired, who do you tell? Where do you go with that? It's me. I have added that to my work list as well, just to make that easy. So now my work list in Avamark, it says Allison/repairs. So that way they can get all in one point, and we don't have something that falls through the cracks anywhere by having multiple work lists, worried about telling Bennett face to face. The process is, if something's broken, put it on my work list, and either I will make sure myself that it gets fixed, or I'll pass it on to the right person who can do it. And that way it's pretty immediate. Even when I'm not here, I try and have other people check my work list. So I think that that's the way that we can tackle this and not have any delays there. If it's something that is urgent, meaning like you can't move on from the moment that you're in without having that fixed, or you know that it's going to cause other problems later on, utilize the manager on call system for that. That's what we have. So especially if it's a night or weekend and there's nobody in the office that you can come and get their attention immediately, utilize the manager on call for that, because we can work together as managers on call to find the solution, to either talk you through how to fix it or again get some help on site. So those would be the two things I would mention about repairs. The next thing that I wanted to clarify is, I think it's something that we've talked about through the years, but maybe we just need updating on what our protocol or our technique, how we approach this is. It's always confusing when we have pets who are boarding or in the resort. Who calls the owner to tell them that that pet's sick and get permission for care? Is it the resort team? Is the hospital thing? I think that sometimes it's situation dependent. So I am going to make a section in Q&A with exactly what I'm saying to you now. And I'm also going to post it with the text of this update so that you can read exactly who calls. So I've kind of broken it into two types of situations: urgent or not urgent. And so for urgent or emergent situations, the pet should be brought into the hospital, and then the veterinarian or the lead nurse calls the owner for an update on how the pet is doing at that moment and permission to move forward with any necessary treatment. So if it's urgent, think about that. That would mean that the pet is in distress or is uncomfortable and is being seen at that moment. We're not stopping by the front desk to put them on the schedule. That means that this is a pet who gets brought directly into the treatment room. The resort team does not need to call for that. The doctor and lead nurse coordinate how to share information with the owner, what's going to happen next, and they make the phone call between the two of them. The other situation, obviously, that's left are the non-urgent things. These are things that might be found while they're boarding, concerns of pets that came in with an issue that need addressing. Those would be put on a doctor's schedule and seen as a scheduled appointment. And they're treated a lot like a drop-off appointment. So the resort team needs to call to get permission to schedule that drop-off appointment and get them on the actual schedule. And then the doctor and lead nurse would coordinate at that point. After they've done an initial examination, which the resort team got permission for, they would call the owner to talk about next steps that maybe need to happen for that pet, and there coordinate, and from there. The final situation that sort of falls under that category are pets who have minor injuries or just have incidents that happen at the resort. So maybe this would be like a pet who's playing in daycare and is found to have like a little scuff on them, or a little nick in grooming, something that doesn't need medical attention, but that we want to make the owner aware of. Certainly the person of the resort team who notices that issue in that moment needs to call the owner in that moment and disclose what happened and let them know what's going on. And then again, review it at the time that the owner comes to be reunited with their pet, pick them up for that day or whatever. So those would be the two kind of subset extra situations of who would call that owner for permission or to make them aware of those situations. While we're speaking of the resort, but also this happens at the hospital, we use ID bands for pets, the yellow label-like collar that goes around their neck. There is such thing as putting those things on too tight. Not necessarily worried about strangling a pet with that because they don't tend to constrict, they tend to loosen over time. However, once they're so tight on the skin, if moisture gets stuck in there, we're kind of creating a breeding ground for bacteria and things, and we can have skin infections occur. So I like to use the rule, the 2-finger rule, where if you put your 2 fingers close together like this, that you can fit 2 fingers comfortably between the pet's neck and the collar, and that's how you know that you have it the right tightness, where it's not going to slip off, but it's also not going to be so tight that there's not going to create enough airflow through there to allow a pet to dry if they get wet or whatever. So 2 fingers between the neck and the collar comfortably, that's a good fit for those ID bands, and I think that should be the standard going forward. The next thing I wanted to remind everybody, we've talked about this a lot recently, however, I still don't think we're all on board and that we could be doing better with this, is we've got to slow down and read alerts that we put in Avimark. Those are so important, and it seems like everybody's always looking for a way, like how could this jump out in my face, and how could I be made aware that there's a pet with a certain condition or an owner with a certain request, or permission from the doctors to do a certain thing for this client repetitively. Well, there are the alerts. I think that we just kind of become numb to them if there's too many or they're not used appropriately, but you cannot allow yourself to do that. And I really think if we slow down and read those, that you would really begin to consistently appreciate the value that they bring. So as an example of one time recently that we avoided the alerts and created a problem is that we had a client who came in and requested a refill for a medication, and the team wasn't sure if they could refill that, so they kept the client waiting and even turned them away. Meanwhile, there was an alert in the record that specifically allowed for unlimited refills of this particular medication, but multiple team members ignored the alert going forward. There's so many situations like that. There's also alerts that are based on patients who maybe have allergies, drug reactions, aversions of certain kinds. Maybe there are alerts even warning you to use a muzzle in particular situations. So it really comes down not only to a convenience thing, but also to a safety thing. You got to slow down and read those alerts. They're there for you to help you do your job the way that you want to be doing it. So make sure that you connect with those and make them happen. That's it that I have for this week. Please note that we are going to have add-ons within Humanity, and also below this post that we have a link for a video from Alex describing what we plan to do with fear-free treating pets. I'm really excited about the fear-free movement coming into our practice. This is one other thing that we want to do long-term. She's taken a great amount of time to work with our doctors and many team members who have been to conferences and trainings on this recently to make a solid program. She's going to describe it. Just make sure that you watch it. I'm so excited. Again, thank you for working so hard and for your sacrifices recently. Thank you for understanding the delay in our transaction and the change in your payroll. Know that you are appreciated and we love you, and we're going to work really hard to take care of you. Thanks and have a great week.